What is going on, guys? Spywi here, and welcome back to another video. Sorry I haven't posted that often. Believe it or not, animation actually takes time, and videos actually take time, and I've been experimenting with character turnarounds, character designs, and, surprisingly, animation. I know, weird, right? An animation channel, or a storytime animator that is working on animation. I'm just joking. Anyways, I wanted to make this podcast just to say my goodbyes to the SpongeBob Squarepants Broadway musical. Now, while this podcast was very short-lived, it did start with me talking about the SpongeBob Broadway musical. And I have a lot of thoughts, and I will never be able to say them in one video, unless you guys like hour-long videos, but yeah. And I know that one friend in particular, well, more than one friend, but a lot of people dislike it, a lot of people gave it a chance, and some people didn't give it a chance. But I do ask that you guys try to listen to it in full. Give it a chance, because honestly, it took me a while to get used to it, but it's honestly one of my favorite musicals of all time, and that's saying something because it's SpongeBob on Broadway. Now, surprisingly enough, I discovered this musical kind of without really knowing it. I kind of prejudged it based off of one clip from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, as most people did, and most of the comments said and still say, there was a SpongeBob Broadway musical? Seriously? And some people saw it and they used that as an indicator of what the entire musical would be. And to be perfectly honest, that's not a good indicator because it's one video, it's not that good quality. And while I personally have not had the privilege of being able to see it on Broadway, I did listen to the whole album, I did watch whatever bootlegs and clips I could, and I followed pretty much all of the cast and all of the swings, all of the producers and whatnot on Instagram and Twitter, and I just followed, the happenings of the crew. Take, for instance, all of the swings, all of the people that do different roles. I congratulated people as they did their Broadway debuts as certain characters. Alex Gibby comes to mind when he debuted as so many different people. When he debuted as Perch Perkins, when he debuted as, other characters. I remember when Stephanie, when she played Plankton's computer wife, at the time of me listening to it, I didn't realize that she was actually Christine Canigula from Be More Chill until, I made the connection, and then my friend made the connection. Yeah, and just listening to their voices, comparing and contrasting with the album, with the live-action clips, I fell in love with the show. And yeah, it's sad that I didn't get to watch it live, but, it became a part of my daily routine. Listening to Bikini Bottom Day first thing in the morning is something that really got me pumped up for the day, because the beginning part is literally just SpongeBob getting ready. And I don't know, I kind of just resonated with that because I did grow up watching SpongeBob. I did grow up, wanting that sort of easygoing, but at the same time hardworking life. And they captured so many things beautifully about the show, and you wouldn't know that by not giving it a chance. Take, for instance, the characterization of each of the characters. Yeah, SpongeBob, played by Ethan Slater, his voice may not be as high-pitched, his laugh may not be accurate. In fact, when he auditioned for the role of SpongeBob, he was told to work on the laugh, and many of you guys may not know that. Maybe you do know that. But he worked on the laugh to the point where, he got that laugh to a point where he was able to get the leading role of a Broadway musical. Can you imagine that? Working on the SpongeBob laugh got this guy the lead role in the SpongeBob musical, and he will be forever immortalized as the originating role of SpongeBob, and that is something that you can never, take away. And you guys have to realize that they've been working on the show for ages. I think it was 5+ years of working on the show before its Chicago run, And then they got announced to go on Broadway, and it's just like, it's so cool that Nickelodeon allowed them this opportunity, and I don't know, it's really cool. Oh man, I'm getting emotional. Going back to the characters, like, take Plankton, for instance. Yeah, he's goofy. Yeah, he's snarky. Yeah, he can rap. But that's kind of the charm of it. It's Plankton. Like, you wouldn't think of him to have certain aspects of himself, and then you watch the show, you watch the Broadway musical, and you realize that it kind of fits the mad genius really well. Or take, for instance, the way that they use sound effects to complement the characters. The different footsteps, such as, Pearl, Squidward, SpongeBob, the sound effects for, just random happenings. And of course, they did throw in the "my leg" joke, which I absolutely love and adore. Yeah, it's cheesy. I mean, what did you expect? Did you expect a serious Broadway musical? It's SpongeBob, after all. Like, seriously, these guys incorporated so many different genres, styles, dance, music. Like, it all came together so well, and like I mentioned in my first podcast, there were so many different songwriters for this musical. You got Aerosmith, Panic at the Disco, Plain White T's, freaking John Legend of all people. Yeah, it's really surreal to listen to. And I don't know, it's okay, I'm gonna bring up something that I read in a tweet from Foot of a Ferret, or Ryder from A Brief History. He noticed that Patrick's voice, they kind of abandoned the original voice like halfway through the musical. He starts out with like the deep voice, and then by the time he gets to his solo song, he gets like really up there, and that's not exactly a fault of, Danny Skinner. It's not really a fault of, any of the characters for not being consistent with their voices. Like, if you think about it, their Chicago voices versus their Broadway voices are completely, like, different. Like, look at Brian Norris's voice for Mr. Krabs versus, his Broadway version. Look at Plankton. Oh my gosh. Freaking Wesley. Oh my gosh. His voice went from like the deep kind of plankton-y voice to kind of more like snarky. I said that before, but he's more snarky, and that kind of makes sense because he's like an evil genius. His voice kind of drones on, and you can't help but laugh at him, while at the same time, he's still a viable threat. Kind of like the actual character of Plankton. His voice is snarky, his voice has a lot of sarcasm, he makes a lot of dry humor jokes, and he is not really seen as a threat, while at the same time he could pose a threat. And the characterization really fits. And then of course you have just the on-screen chemistry with each other, whether it be, the actual people, whether it be the swings. Like, Brynn Wills and, I don't know, she goes above and beyond her characters, whether she's playing as Mrs. Puff, whether she's playing as Pearl. Oh my gosh, like, she nails it. And that's not to give any, like, doubt to the original Pearl, because, oh boy. Yeah, if you guys just listen to this. Yeah, you get the idea. And I gotta hand it to everybody who had, a debuting role in this, especially the swings. I didn't give much love to them in my previous podcast, but oh my freaking gosh. Like, everybody who either understudied or anybody who was an understudy for the SpongeBob character or swapped in, anybody who was an understudy for, Plankton or Mr. Krabs or Pearl or Squidward or anybody, you see how happy they are in their posts, whether that be on Instagram, whether that be on their Instagram stories or wherever. This is their moment, and, to be able to have a part in such an amazing musical is already, like, so cool. And on top of that, swings are going, like, above and beyond the regular characters. Like, not even just the regular characters, like, even some of the regular people. Like, this is kind of jumping back and forth, but in the musical Be More Chill, they have a small cast, and so they kind of have to recycle people for different roles. So, for instance, during the Squip song, they're wearing different costumes, and, they're acting differently, and then they have to do a bunch of costume changes. Well, the same goes for the SpongeBob Broadway musical. People swap out of costumes, they sing different parts, they're in different musical numbers, and they're singing basically the whole time, and that takes a lot of stamina. You think it's hard playing one role? Imagine playing all of them, and in one night, and in multiple performances for however long. That is just like mind-blowingly insane. And again, props to them for being able to pull this off on Broadway and in the Palace Theater, no less. I'm sure there's recordings of Ethan Slater's final monologue on his Instagram story about the Palace Theater, and I'm pretty sure you can read basically every tweet, every Instagram post from every single member of the cast. And I just want to say thank you guys, especially the amazing mind that is Tina Landau, for putting all this together. I don't know, it's really surreal. I come into these fandoms when they're halfway through. I watch from a distance, trying to figure out if this is worth my time, and then I kind of just jump into it, and I fully invest into it. When Rick and Morty Season 3 came about, I started watching from the very beginning as the Season 3 episodes were premiering. Adventure Time, I jumped in and out and in and out. And for SpongeBob, I watched it, I listened to it about a year or so after their Chicago debut, and then I started following them in the middle of their Broadway run, fully investing into the characters, fully investing into the songs, the Broadway version, each and every single person's Instagram account. I'm well invested into a lot of these people who I may have not had the chance to ever get to know if not for the SpongeBob musical. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but it got to the point where I was making karaoke instrumentals for these songs because literally nobody else on the internet was doing it. And people are showing their appreciation for these Broadway musicals by making covers, making fan art, making animatics. Legitimately, I had a karaoke cover of Just a Simple Sponge, and one person not only made an entire cover of it with him singing all the parts, but he did an animatic on top of that. I wouldn't have known that creator if not for this musical. And that goes for all musicals too. I probably would not have invested myself into Be More Chill if not for the amazing people that continually asked for more covers. I probably wouldn't have invested into the SpongeBob musical if, I had stayed away based off of my preconceptions of the musical. I probably wouldn't have, grown my channels to the way they are if not for the influences that these musicals have had. And I know I'm late to the party on a lot of musicals. I'm not exactly a Broadway nerd. By the time you're watching this, I've probably moved on to another musical. Be More Chill just got announced on Broadway Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is making a return with some of the swings from the SpongeBob musical. Of course, we've got Christine Canigula back on Be More Chill. And I don't know, it's so... It's weird being emotional over a show that I have never seen in person and probably will never be able to see on Broadway ever again. Like, I don't know if they're doing a national tour. I don't know if they're doing anything. Like, I know that there are sites that say that they're doing a national tour, but like nothing's been confirmed. It seems like this is the end for the SpongeBob Broadway musical, and that is perfectly fine. Like, it's immortalized its time in theater, it's immortalized its time on Broadway, and in my opinion, it will live on as one of the greatest musicals of all time. Like, the big ones that come to mind are the big ones that have spawned entire communities on YouTube and Discord. You got Heathers the musical, you've got Legally Blonde the musical, Mean Girls the musical, Be More Chill, Dear Evan Hansen, and there's just one song. If I could pick out one song from the SpongeBob Broadway musical that greatly defines me as a person, I would probably have to say BFF, which is strange because, you know, it's a duo song, it's a duet, but like, it's the simple things that matter. It's not about sitting around watching TV. Like, it's literally just about friendship, just using your imagination, just goofing off, having fun with what you have. Like, the world may be ending, but as long as you have your best friend there, anything's possible. It's honestly one of my favorite songs to sing, and I don't know, it's a song that has allowed me to bond with someone that I consider one of my best friends. It's a song that really resonates with me, and like I said, not everybody is going to enjoy the SpongeBob Squarepants Broadway musical. If I were to name drop a few people, and you know who you are, cough cough, Anna Pantsu, cough Ricky. Nah, it's fine. You guys know that I love this musical, and I respect you guys when you trash talk it on your guys' streams. Y'all should join me for a stream one of these days. If I can get home early enough, you guys should join me for this podcast. There's just something beautiful about the world building, both inside and outside, that this musical brings. Inside because, you know, it's the world of SpongeBob brought to life in human form. And outside because it's brought together a community that I never really thought that I would see outside of, you know, the standard cartoons. There's people drawing fan art of the different characters, fan art of the different songs, fan art of the actors and actresses, the singers, everybody. There's people that sing these songs on YouTube. There's people that viciously re-upload the bootlegs even though they get taken down. I mean, seriously, look at this title. This is just insane, and I love it. And that's just something that has been on my mind ever since the final curtain call was given. And I think that, you know, Tina Landau says it best, and so I will leave a link in the description to this full video if you want to watch the whole thing, but this is my takeaway from that final speech of hers.
That which invites you into a world which is a version of the best our world can be, and certainly a world I want to live in. For in this world, creatures of all sizes, shapes, colors, ethnicities are welcome and celebrated, and that's the world we want to be in. There is a deep knowledge that every moment is precious because everything beautiful is impermanent. Like this moment, like a day, a friend, and every single show that has ever opened and closed. That is life. Hard, beautiful, we keep going. Wouldn't change it for the world. I know I'm not alone in saying I will always vow and pledge allegiance to the town that I hold dear for all of years. That's good. And so we here tonight promise ourselves today and tomorrow and the next day and the next and the next to continue on our path full of wonder and gratitude. And the most profound lesson we've learned from an optimistic little yellow sponge that I have fallen in love with and has changed my life forever, which is today is and will always be the best day ever.
Honestly, I couldn't have said it better myself, so I think that's a good stopping point. If you guys want to hear more, if you guys want to hear me ramble some more, leave me some stuff to talk about. Leave me a comment down below if you guys want me to talk about a particular subject. If you guys haven't seen my mega playlist or my mega podcast or, whatever it is, I'll link it down below or you can check it out on my channel. Anyways, guys, this has been Spywi's Mind Palace. This has been my podcast, Thoughts from the Mind Palace. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. God bless, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.